Welcome to our usual hovers. I'm Meeka Nomicon, and today I'm playing for the game Diona's Flower Shop. But tomorrow is a particularly important occasion, so we really need to find the perfect bouquet of flowers. But unfortunately for us, all the shops seem to be closed for the night. You're in search of the ideal bouquet for that special event. In a hurry, I bolted out of my workplace and lifted my wrist to check at the time. Crap! I had a feeling I'd be working overtime again tonight, but I didn't expect leaving work this late. My plan was to leave a little earlier tonight to spare some time browsing for flowers to buy, but now it's 11:15 p.m. already. No shop must still be open by this hour. As I walk, the night envelops the streets in darkness and quietness. I was right. I noticed that most shops are closed now. A hint of disappointment creeps in, realizing I won't have the chance to buy what I needed for tomorrow. If only I'd thrown caution to the wind and left earlier. Now, I'm not sure anymore about tomorrow. Well, it's not like getting a flower bouquet for the occasion is that necessary, after all, but I still think it'd be a good idea to do. It's just, showing up with a bouquet in hand would show the effort I put in, right? Well, I'd hate to be the one to point it out, but the fact we didn't leave work early enough to buy the flowers in the first place kinda does indicate the amount of effort we've put into this occasion. I'm assuming it's gonna be like a date or something, right? At least, that's what I think. I began to walk slowly, realizing there's no point in hurrying anymore since I might just go through tomorrow without a flower bouquet. Or not. Yet just as I was about to completely give up on the idea, something caught my attention, and I came to an abrupt stop. Diona's flower shop! Despite the late hour, the entrance to the shop still displayed a riot of blossoms. It was a little strange to see, yet its beauty draws me in like a moth to a flame. Either the florist is incredibly dedicated, or the shop simply has unusual working hours. But that doesn't matter now. This means I have a chance to buy flowers. Eager, I hastened my steps towards the shop and entered. The door chimed with a soft ring as it swung open, announcing my arrival. The interior of the flower shop exudes a delicate beauty, with its simple yet elegant decor that consists of soft and muted colors. The blossoms, neatly displayed in glass vases, cast elongated shadows in the dim lighting. As I wander through the flower shop, I could smell the scent of usual fragrant, floral notes in the air. But I also begin to notice something else. Something unsettling, far from the usual pleasantness. A faint, discordant odor that mingles with the flowery scents. Is it decay? Are we smelling a decomposing body? Is there body parts in the fertilizer? A scent different from what I'd expect in a flower shop, but I couldn't quite place its origin either. I quickly dismiss it and choose to focus on the flower shop's exquisite arrangements instead, as if ignoring the scent will make it vanish somehow. I begin observing the floral displays, my eyes drifting over them. Some bouquets were prearranged, while others featured individual stems waiting to be selected. Taking a closer look, the late hours seem to have taken its toll on a few, leaving them with a slight wilt. Nonetheless, I felt grateful that this flower shop's still open at this hour. On the opposite side of the shop, a particular bouquet of sunflowers immediately captured my attention. They stood out with their vibrant freshness, in stark contrast to the others. Wow! I whispered to myself, reaching out to gently touch the golden petals, a soft smile gracing my lips. This one's still quite fresh, surprisingly. Maybe I should get this one. Hmm. I mused again, hesitating. Yeah, I think I should look around first. Turning away from the sunflowers, I strolled further into the shop, admiring the colourful array of blooms and pondering my choices. You know what I've just realised? There's been no mention of the owner, right? Which is a little weird. I mean, who would just leave their shop unattended? Nearing midnight. I mean, I don't imagine it's a very big shop, so surely we should have run into them by now. It wasn't until I stole a glance at the counter that I realised the shop was deserted. Ah, see, I'm not the only one curious about this. Where's the florist? Well, we all know I'm far too nosy for my own good, so, let's just check the staff door. I hesitated for a moment, pondering whether it might be a bit excessive. But, in the end, curiosity got the better of me. After all, someone could be inside, right? I mean, who in their right mind would leave their own shop unattended at this hour? It's kind of dangerous. After a brief internal debate, I made my way towards the back of the counter, intending to knock the staff door. I noticed that odd, out-of-place scent from earlier seems to be coming from behind this door. Huh, we found the corpses! I'm guessing our florist was just murdering a guy in the back rooms. I apologize, but only staff members are allowed to enter. I was taken aback by the sudden presence of a man with pink hair emerging from the staff door. Oh, sorry! I took a step back immediately, feeling a little flustered. No, you're quite alright. The man's lips curled upwards into a smile that appeared warm to me, and he took a step back, maintaining a professional distance. I apologize for making you wait. I was tending to something in the other room and didn't notice someone had entered the shop. Welcome to Diona's flower shop. I'm the florist in charge. How can I assist you? Yeah, I'm here to buy some flowers for a special occasion. The man nodded, and his smile broadens. Of course. What's the occasion? And what type of flowers are you interested in? Oh, so for a confession, that would essentially be for a date then, yes? So I feel like that's what it should be. It could be our friend's birthday then. Wait, or we could just skip that and just go straight to flirting with a guy? Oh, I always have to take the flirting options. I have no choice anymore. Wow, you're hot. Pardon? Why the heck did I blurt that out? I tried to form a reply, but my thoughts scrambled, leaving me tongue-tied and making nonsensical sounds, feeling utterly awkward. Why, I appreciate that. The florist gave a slight smile in reply, his voice hardly shifting. Ah, I don't think he's very appreciative of our flirting. That only adds to my embarrassment. I cringe inwardly, wondering how I could have said something like that earlier. In any case, is there any type of flowers you're interested in buying? Not really. Nothing comes to mind yet. That's perfectly fine. If you'd like, I can show you our flowered language book. It's a way to choose flowers based on their meanings and symbolism. Thank you. I'd really appreciate that. The florist swiftly retrieved the flower language book from a cabinet and handed it to me. I took it with a nod and a smile. Thank you. I trailed behind the florist, observing as he elegantly halted his steps and began crafting a floral arrangement at a nearby table. Despite trying to focus on the task at hand, my mind kept replaying that awkward moment when I blurted out that thoughtless comment. Please, browse at your leisure. I have to return to another arrangement for a client, so whenever you've made up your choice, please let me know. Thank you so much. I'll definitely let you know. Trying to distract myself, I gazed at the beautiful assortment of flowers before me. While I was browsing, the florist was deep in concentration in his arrangement work. I start flipping through the pages of the flower language book, scanning the meanings and symbolism behind various blooms. Marigolds and red roses caught my attention Marigolds, often associated with passion and creativity, seems like a vibrant choice. On the other hand, red roses conveyed messages of love and admiration. I'd honestly probably go with the red roses. I just feel like their meaning is easier to recognize, since everyone associates roses with romance and love, right? And marigolds, honestly, I don't even know what a marigold looks like. Then again, I'm not much of a flower person, so maybe don't listen to my advice. I don't know which one to decide. After a moment of contemplation, I turned my attention towards the florist. With the shears in hand, he snipped the stems at just the right angle, the metallic blades glinting slightly in the flower shop's dim lighting. Their edges appears really sharp and maintained. I don't want to bother him, but I also need to ask for his help in deciding. Excuse me. Yes? He paused his movements, anticipating my next words with a small smile on his face. I can't decide between marigolds or red roses. A tough decision indeed. Both choices are beautiful. Perhaps you can opt for the red roses. As much as I'd like to offer you both, I can't sell flowers that aren't in their best condition. And as you may have noticed, a couple of them have started to wilt. I apologize for that. It's because I usually select the flowers during the day, and they don't remain fresh until late. I nodded in understanding, acknowledging the truth in his explanation. No worries, I completely understand. Flowers tend to deteriorate quickly once they're picked. I'm relieved to know so. It's indeed unfortunate their beauty don't last very long. I often wish that more individuals embraced nurturing flowers, but it appears many of them lean towards purchasing them solely for decoration. People prefer to opt for the pre-arranged, hand-picked, and cleaned options. You sound so sad about that. But isn't that like your target demographic? Wait, do I even have a flirting option? You know, we're committed at this point. We are going to flirt this florist into loving me. And maybe revealing the truth behind the smelly door. Well, at least I'm glad to see that someone as charming as you is taking care of these beautiful flowers. His lips curved into a small smile, his eyes meeting mine briefly before his focus returned to his work. Thank you for your kind words. It's an honor. Flowers are really beautiful and delicate. Thus, I want to be able to enhance each flower's beauty by arranging them harmonically. Well, I think you're already doing a good job at it. Was there a specific reason behind your choice to become a florist? He appears to truly enjoy his work. My love for flowers has been a lifetime-long affair. Even as a child, I was captivated by their beauty and grace. But it was when I met my wife that my passion for flowers intensified greatly. Wait, wife? Oh man, I've been flirting with a married man. His voice took on a noticeable change in tone as he spoke of his wife. Your wife must hold a special place in your heart. With each nod, his smile seemed to grow wider, and it's clear he's absolutely smitten with the topic of his wife. Okay, so outlandish theory time. So what happens if this guy is a secret psychopath, right? Just very, very psychotic, and his wife is the one that's dead in the back rooms. I'm just thinking, like, maybe he became obsessed with his wife didn't return the feelings, and then she happened to die. I'm just saying, it's a plausibility. I don't trust this guy. With each nod, his smile seemed to grow wider, and it's clear he's absolutely smitten with the topic of his wife. She is, and I'm thankful to be in her presence every single day. So, would you choose the selection of red roses? Oh, right! I was caught up in the conversation. Well, roses was my first idea as well, So sure, why not? We'll go for the roses. An excellent choice indeed. He set aside the arrangement for another client after he tied a ribbon around it as a finishing touch. If I may ask, what's the occasion? Well, especially because we've gone for red roses, I feel like it should be for confession, right? Well, I want to confess my feelings to someone, so I thought flowers would be a perfect way to express it. And just ignore the fact that even though I want to confess my feelings, I've been flirting with you. Ah, how lovely! Flowers can convey emotions beautifully indeed. Okay, I'll begin preparing them for you. Thank you so much. I nod softly, smiling at his words and remaining quiet to let him focus on his work now. Amidst his work, he suddenly paused, setting aside the shears and fixing his gaze on me. Excuse me for just a moment. I need to retrieve something from the other room. The florist smiled politely and left the counter. I kind of want to follow him. Listen, I need to know what's inside that back room. After a short absence, he returned, carrying a small wooden box filled with decorative satin ribbons and a handful of white lilies. Thank you for your patience. No problem at all. He continued with his work and thoughtfully dispersed the white petals throughout the bouquet, like pearls adorning a royal robe. Ah, I apologize again. I just remembered I missed something. How forgetful of me. I'll be right back. Just one more thing to fetch. He disappeared into the staff room once more. Take your time. Just like this, the florist would frequently step away to the staff room in the midst of his work. Sometimes he returned with new equipment and fresh blooms, while other times he reappeared with no apparent changes. Each time he opened the staff door, the peculiar smell grew more potent. Soon enough, the florist returned again with a roll of decorative paper. Thank you for waiting. No problem. Even though the door is closed now, his earlier trips to the staff room left a lingering scent in the shop. I instinctively scrunched up my nose at the unpleasant odor. I think it's the smell from earlier. Okay, so we can either choose to ignore the smell or confront him about the smell. Wait, or we could just continue flirting with the guy? Wait, he's married! You know what? I feel like I'm committed. I will charm you sooner or later. Actually, who knows? Maybe I'm gonna get myself murdered. And if this guy really is besotted with his wife, he is not gonna be happy with my flirting. You know, I must admit, your flowers aren't the only thing that's captivating around here. I tried to smile, hoping to divert my own attention from the unusual scent in the shop. His glance in my direction was accompanied by a smile that appears somewhat contrived. It made me feel a little uneasy, as if he could discern my motives. Care to elaborate? Oh, I mean, it's not just the flowers. Your presence adds a certain charm to this place, too. Is that so? You have a way with compliments. I call it as I see it. You must have many admirers. Ah, you're flattering me. While he placed each petal with precision, I suddenly heard a loud crashing noise coming from another room. For the first time since I walked into the flower shop, I see genuine shock on the florist's face. Oh, so maybe you didn't kill the person in the back room. What was that? Sounds like someone tripped over or something. I apologize. I must go and take a look. Please excuse me for a moment. Okay. He looks genuinely concerned as he rushes towards the staff room, leaving me standing there. And again, as he opened the door, that scent lingers in the air again. It makes me question what's really behind that closed door. And if it's the scent of flowers, I wonder what kind of flower could possibly emit such a foul scent. After what feels like an eternity, the florist finally returns. The worry that was visible on his face earlier has dissipated, and he now wears a faint smile. Is everything okay back there? It seems my wife accidentally knocked over some gardening tools of mine. Nothing to worry about. She's just a little clumsy is all. He chuckled softly and swiftly picked up the flowers again, holding them in his hand as he started arranging them. I see. I stood still, patiently awaiting the flower arrangement to be done. Yet while I was looking around the table, I noticed a stain of blood at the end of the counter, exactly the spot where the florist had just touched. The florist seems to have noticed me and noticing the blood spot. Is something else that caught your attention? Well, we know it's blood, and he knows it's blood. We just need to know whose blood it is. My voice trembles with concern as I gesture towards the bloodstain. There's a strong urge in me that wants to really know what's happening. That blood, what happened? He pauses for a moment, his eyes briefly darting to the spot I was pointing at. I think I didn't properly clean up after myself just now. He lets out a quiet sigh, rubbing his temple with his other hand. I apologize. I had a nosebleed just now. A nosebleed? Yeah, it happens every now and then, unfortunately. Sometimes I do wonder if it's from me working a bit too hard, for I'm the only one who works here. Oh, we've got a flirting option. You really need to look after yourself, handsome. Well, you know, I could look after you for you. The florist seems completely focused on his arrangement flowers, even as my words took on a more flirtatious note. I appreciate your concern, but I'm used to it really. There's no need to worry. Moreover, my wife's presence serves as a constant reminder that as her husband, I must put in the effort to meet her needs without compromising my own health. Quietly, I observe his fingers in motion. With every addition, the florist paused, the discerning eye ensuring each flower found its perfect place in the arrangement. Before long, the florist turned his head around to look at me. I apologize for making you wait. I'm almost done with the arrangement. Would you like to include a card with the bouquet? Normally, there's an additional charge, but since you're buying our last batch of flowers, I'll include it at no extra cost. For free? The florist nodded again, with a small smile on his face. Yeah. Wait, oh my god, that is so forward. I don't want a card. I want you instead. The florist smiled as he shook his head, letting out a small chuckle, but his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Your flirtatious behavior, as tedious as it is, reminds me of a time when my wife and I would share light-hearted moments. But I'm afraid the situation isn't one of them. He sighed softly and put on a wider smile again. You know, while I'm still not convinced you're not a psycho kidnapper murderer, I appreciate your dedication to your wife. I will be giving you the card then. What would you like me to write on it? I swear to God, if one of the options is your phone number. Wow, he's blatantly ignoring me. I think I'd like some... I told the florist what I'd like him to write, word by word, as he wrote them down. Once the flowers were perfectly arranged, he carefully wrapped the bouquet with decorative paper, the colours and patterns complementing the flowers within. He tied a satin ribbon around the bouquet as he completed the masterpiece before handing me the bouquet. Thank you. Is this good enough for you? He handed me the bouquet of flowers he had arranged, adorned with a small card attached to the ribbon. Oh! He has a very pretty handwriting, and the arrangement looks just as beautiful. It's beautiful. I held on to the bouquet tighter, looking up at the florist. Thank you so much. I'm glad you think so. Do you want to purchase something else before leaving? Or is this all? I'm assuming that if we say we're curious about something else, might we buy these sunflowers? Or maybe we'll just ask about the smell. You know what? I'm curious about something else. About what, if I may ask? Oh, we can go back just to flirting. You know what? I may have been denied and rejected, but I'm determined about the handsome man behind the arrangement. You. Pardon? He looks genuinely surprised at my question, clearly from how his eyes slightly widened. The florist fell silent for a moment, seemingly thinking for an answer, or at a loss for words. You are quite the persistent one, I'll give you that. He sets down the scissors he was holding, walking over to the counter to take a step closer to me. What exactly would you like to know about me then? He suddenly turned around, and our eyes met. Though before that, if I may say something, what leads you to talk with me like this, given my marital status? I'm aware of that status, handsome. Yet you choose not to care. Yeah, it's kind of a bad habit on my part. If they give me a chance to flirt with a potential killer, I seem unable to resist. Yeah, and what if I don't care? Your personal life isn't my concern. He chuckled softly, the sound carrying a mix of amusement and something else, something deeper. Ah! His eyes met mine again, with a little more intensity this time. Ah, I just realised what this game reminds me of. It reminds me of, what was it? Tenacious Leeches, was it? The Milkman game, where he was married yet we insist on flirting with him as well. Are you perhaps one of those who finds some sort of thrill in doing this? I decide to remain silent, both because I'm not entirely sure on what I should say in return, and also the fact that it seems like he was going to say something more. You're not the first to do this. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the counter as he tilted his head slightly to the side, maintaining eye contact. After all, it was nice how they honored me with their bodies in the end. His words slightly took me aback. His never faltering eye contact didn't help in making me less nervous. Can't go your tongue? Don't clam up now. You were doing so well. I suppose I should give your persistence a small reward. He leaned his back against the counter and looked at me in the eyes with intensity. To tell you the truth, my wife had a way of making ordinary, mundane moments exhilarating, much like the way our current conversation seems to be turning. He grinned as he said so, his eyes not leaving mine. The florist turned around and walked to the other side of the counter, tidying up some stuff. You're quite the curious one, aren't you? It's almost like you have no sense of others' boundaries. He stopped his movements and turned around to face me. Well, I have to admit, my curiosity might be a bit biased. Maybe I'm just drawn to you. I will go down with this flirting. I'm just curious at this point whether it's going to get me murdered. He continued arranging items, his fingers briefly touching an old photograph, resting nearby. I'm flattered, though I'm afraid I don't quite get what you're trying to get from this question. The florist's slender fingers wiped the dust of the photograph, revealing a picture of a sunflower garden. After a moment, he places the photograph back where it was and met my gaze. Should I be wary of being in the presence of a detective? You're asking me quite a handful of questions. He chuckles softly, looking over at me. Sorry, I probably should tone down my curiosity. The florist chuckle slowly turns into a warm smile. No, it's not every day that someone shows such genuine curiosity. I nod, appreciating his words. Yeah, your passion for flowers and the bond you share with your wife, they seem to hold a depth that goes beyond the surface. His movements halted for a moment, and his gaze becomes reflective as he nods in agreement. You're perceptive. His chuckle fades as he returns his attention to tidying up his equipment. My gaze drifts to the sunflower framed photo that he touched earlier, and to his face. You know, watching you work with your flowers earlier, it's really alluring to me. You're quite the flattering one. I wonder if you're like this with every stranger you meet. Or is it just me? He chuckled again, this time a little more shallow, as he shook his head and met my gaze. You remind me of the self-proclaimed detective that once came to visit me in hopes of satiating their curiosity. Needless to say, I have no secrets to tell, so they're left with nothing. Is that so? Well, I'll be sure to remember that. Ah, not another detective with a good memory. That could be dangerous. His words were light-hearted at this time, and somewhat playful smile graced his lips. I'm no detective. I just find myself drawn to you. Is that so? His eyes held a mischievous glint as he leaned in even closer. Yeah, you're quite intriguing. He trailed his fingers lightly along the edge of the counter, his eyes never leaving mine. Well, in that case, perhaps I'll let you in on a secret or two. The air between us seemed to change as our conversation continued. What's with this sudden change of behavior? I take a step back as he stepped forward to me. You must be thinking, what's with this sudden change of behavior? Well, yeah, I was wondering about exactly just that. What about all the talk about how much you love your wife up until now? The florist lets out a small chuckle at my words, shaking his head before he spoke in a quieter voice. To love is to share, don't you think? Sometimes new flowers grow even when we think we've already found our favorite. He sighed softly and met my gaze. Enough about me. Let's focus on you for a moment. Me? I blinked in surprise, taken aback by the sudden redirection of the conversation. I'd been persistent for sure, no doubt about it. But this sudden change really took me aback. Yes, you. What really brings you to my flower shop today? Oh, I just saw the beautiful flowers in the window and decided to come in. I needed a good bouquet. Plus, this is the only flower shop that's still open, so... His pair of crimson eyes sparkled with a playful glint. Well, you have a good eye. Thank you. Though, if I may assume, it does seem like you had a change of mind sometime during the time you spent looking around in my shop. You did mention wanting to buy a bouquet for a special occasion, to confess your feelings. Then, why are you acting like this? Did your feelings for your crush dissipated into the thin air the moment you entered this flower shop? Listen. Yes? Oh, it was just a childish one-sided crush. I was serious about you, though. The florist blinked slowly at my answer, though his expression remains unchanging. That's so. The faintest of smile now adorned his lips as he spoke. It's interesting if you know just what you've got yourself into. Regardless, I appreciate your honesty. His smile broadens a little bit. The florist steps away from the counter, walking to the other side of the shop, and picked up a delicate white lily before holding it out to me. Look at this. White lily, a symbol of purity. Just like the intentions that initially led you to my shop. Is it wrong that I find you attractive, though? The florist chuckled, a bit before setting down the lily aside. I won't answer that for you. His gaze held mine for a moment longer than necessary, making me feel nervous. Are you finally reciprocating my interest in you? Is that even a question? His voice dropped to a lower, almost intimate tone. Let's not keep talking about me. We should continue our conversation somewhere else. My place is right below this floor. I don't realize that he actually lives in the same building. Though my nerves are on edge, I nod in compliance with his offer. Follow me then. With a gesture, he opens the staff room door. I could smell the sickening scent from earlier again the moment I stepped inside. I paused momentarily to regain my composure, contemplating should I continue to delve deeper or not. The florist noticed this and turned around to face me, his crimson eyes meeting mine. What's wrong? No, I'm fine. He smiled at my words and turned around again, continuing to walk in silence. As he walked me down the stairs, my steps matched the rhythm of my racing heart. We passed by the dimly lit staff room that shut closed, and the scent of fresh blooms seems to come from the other side of the place. Yes, the floral scent still entwined with the same unsettling aroma that had haunted my senses earlier. The florist stopped in his steps and opened the door, allowing me to step inside first. Oh, that is definitely Meek, right? I don't know what this room is, but it's dimly lit. This is where we can continue our conversation. I nodded, a mix of anticipation and uncertainty bubbling within me. So, what has piqued your curiosity? You've shown quite the interest in me, but what is it that you really want to know? He leans in slightly, his gaze locked onto mine with an intensity that's difficult to ignore. Or perhaps I should ask, what is it that you desire from me? From all of this? My throat tightens as I swallow, feeling his gaze like a physical touch. You know your answer. You've led yourself to this place, you see. I remained silent for a moment, not knowing what to say. Yeah, I want you. He chuckled softly, his eyes never leaving mine. You're quite the bold one. You see, I am fascinated by intricacies of human nature, how desire drives us, molds us. But it's not just any desire that captures my attention. He took another step closer towards me. It's the desires that lie hidden beneath the surface, the ones that make our hearts race and thoughts spiral, ones that drives us to irrational decisions, ones that you seem to be experiencing at this very moment. His fingers trail lightly along the edge of the table as he spoke softly. The desires that we bury deep within us. The truth in his words made my heart beat faster. And what do you do with those desires? He leans in a little closer, whispering to my ear. I cultivate them, nurture them, just like the flowers in my garden. And when the time is right, I let them bloom in all their glory. And now, I think I've kept to myself for too long at this point. He swiftly leaned back again, now a small frown on his face. You see, my wife was born in unique circumstances. I love her, but no man can escape their human desires, can they? Fumito paused, his eyes searching mine as if debating whether to reveal something. I'm ashamed to admit this, but sometimes I find myself feeling a little lonely. That's why. Let's take a step towards understanding each other better. His smile is accompanied by a gentle touch to my arm. Fumito is my name. Fumito? Our eyes meet, and now I can see a hint of vulnerability in his expression. Now that you've known my name, why don't we continue our conversation in a more intimate setting? Intimate? Each of his spoken words made me increasingly more nervous. Yes, I have a proposition. Given the staff room is my place of work, why not let me lead you to a different space? Somewhere else? Like the bedroom, mayhaps? He seems to be taken aback by my words for a moment, but quickly regained his composure. How bold of you! I suppose I should say eager. I find my cheeks warming up at his words, making me embarrassed by whatever he's implying. I mean... I understand, don't worry. He was quick to silence me and put a finger over my lips to prevent me from speaking. The florist chuckled softly before leaning back again, holding his gaze with mine. I will lead the way, though if we're talking in the bedroom, I do have a small request. Suddenly, his slender fingers moved towards me, and before I know it, a soft fabric is draped over my eyes. What's this? My words catch in my throat as I instinctively reach for the fabric. Shh! His touch on my wrist is gentle but firm. If we're going to talk more intimately, this is simply a part of the thrill. I found a mixture of excitement and unease as the fabric cut off my vision, plunging me into darkness. The florist's words seemed distant, as if he was guiding me through the shop. I trusted his lead, a sense of anticipation building within me, before finally he came to a stop. Where are we? Diona? What? He called out a name, showing no acknowledgement of my question. I will see you soon, my sunshine. Just a little more. I could feel Fumito stepping close to my direction as he reached for my face and removed the cloth from my eyes. I could feel Fumito stepping close in my direction. As the world came back into focus, I found myself in a dimly lit room with cold tiled floors. A strong metallic scent of blood permeated the air, accompanied by an unsettling mix of decay and floral notes, with some flowers at the forefront. Oh, I was right then! That scent we had was decay. Tall wooden shelves lined the walls, displaying an array of equipment and tools, their surfaces marred with ominous red stains. I told you it was a small request. Is your body ready? My heart pounds in my chest as I try to make sense of the situation. What? I said, is your body ready? Please cooperate. What? In a flash, he had my arms yanked behind my back, securing them tightly with what felt like rough twine. I immediately struggled against his hold, but it was futile. With an eerie calmness, Fumito dragged me to a nearby table before I could even react. Its surface feels sticky with a strange moist sensation beneath my fingers. It felt gross, slightly wet, and I recoiled as my skin came into contact with it. His face was devoid of emotion as he secured my arms and legs to the table. Something about the way he handled this tells me that he had done such things before. His actions unnervingly precise. "What are you doing?" Once he tightened the last knot, Vomito stepped back and looked down on me, his cold crimson eyes boring into mine. "Just keeping my promise. I'm a man of my word." He maintained his unsettling composure while I squirmed against my bonds. "You wanted to honor me with your body, didn't you? You gave in to your desires without a second thought. Fully aware of my marital status, yet you still gave in. It's a weakness that many seem to share." My heart raced, and I tried to muster a response, but the words caught in my throat. He reached for something on the nearby table, and the metallic clink of tools echoed through the dimly lit room. "You know what? I was right. You're clearly insane." He seems to be slightly taken aback by my protest. "If you'd call a man simply providing for his wife insane, then I'm sure you have lost my sanity a long time ago. Though I believe you're one to speak. Being so mindlessly driven by your desires, to the point where you risk your own safety, that is what I call insanity." "Oh, hi there." Vomito suddenly climbed on the table and loomed on top of me. It's now clear that he's holding a piece of cloth in his hand. He leaned in closer, his voice dripping with mockery and thinly veiled disgust. "What I want to know is, how does killing me help his wife? Unless she's a zombie or something." "You're so shameless, aren't you? Always succumbing to your desires, never thinking of consequences." He reached out to my face and slapped my cheek, the sound resonating in the room. "Just like an animal." I could sense a deep-seated disgust in his eyes, as if he loathed not only me, but the very nature of humanity itself. "It's getting late now. I can't waste any more time. My wife is waiting for me. I will make sure this ends quickly. You'll soon forget those desires that led you here, and any shame that comes with it, if you're even capable of that. Though, I doubt you do." My vision began to blur as he pressed the cloth against my face, soaked in something sweet-smelling. I wanted to respond, to defy him, but the room seemed to grow darker, my eyelids heavy. "Just close your eyes." As darkness closed in around me, I couldn't shake the feeling that the florist's disgust lingered, even as I drifted into unconsciousness. "Oh, I'm surprised we woke up again. To put up an act like that was disgusting. No, I am in no way cheating. My sunshine thing goes, even though, despite him, father's teachings effective." My senses slowly returned, and I find myself in the same dimly lit room with the florist's voice. Fumito's oddly affectionate tone of speaking filled the air, but I couldn't quite grasp what he was saying properly. His voice is coming from somewhere nearby, like he was right beside me, but just out of my field of view. My head felt hazy. I tried to move, but I couldn't feel my limbs. I realized something was very wrong. My arms and legs were unresponsive, as if they weren't even there. "Did you amputate my limbs?" "Yes, but he was delicious, wasn't he, my dear?" The florist's voice trailed off as our eyes met, realizing that I had awakened, or at least, that's what I think. It's hard to see things properly. Ah, no. I can't have you awake for this. I attempted to turn my head and focus to see where I was and what was happening to me. But Fumito's presence loomed closer, and his hand pressed against my forehead. His touch felt strained, a little damp with the metallic scent hinting at blood on his fingers. My attempts to speak or struggle were feeble, my body unwilling to respond. I tried to speak and ask what was happening, but my words came out as garbled murmur. My heart raced, and I thought to regain control of my body. Don't fight it, please. The sweet, sickly scent enveloped me once more, and my vision quickly wavered. What a delectable offering you are! My wife's dinner tonight will be memorable. But what precisely are you going to feed her? I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm out of limbs. The last thing I heard was the florist's voice, distant and cold, tinged with a subtle disgust. Thank you for your contribution. Oh! Ending yellow carnation. Does yellow carnation mean death or something? In dalliance with words that move, a trance once stumbled upon a perilous dance, an illusionary garden where charm was the key, a cautionary tale for all to see. A reckless fascination, wasn't it? Remember, not every connection is worth pursuing. Okay, so after listening to our cautionary tale of flirting with a married man, I guess this time we should just get going. Yeah, that's all. I should get going. How much is this? Then everything will be... Okay. I let out a quiet sigh, pulling out my wallet and handing him the amount I need to pay for his service. He took the money and swiftly processed the payment. Here's the change. I nod, reaching out my hand to take the change. Thank you. And also for the arrangement. I picked up the bouquet from the counter, turning around to walk towards the door. Oh, hi there! But then, the florist caught my wrist and prevented me from leaving. You forgot to pay? I certainly did not. Do you not remember handing me my change? Wait, is he going to want me to pay for my body again? He was standing so close to me. While his voice was soft, there's something sinister about it. What? I paid just now. You even processed it yourself. I retorted, voice a bit shaking. He's gripping onto my wrist a little too strongly. The florist shook his head at my words. I'm afraid that's not enough. What? Are you serious? Am I being scammed right now? I should have known better than to go out of my way to step into a totally not suspicious flower shop that's apparently still open past 11 at night. He shook his head once again. It's not about the bouquet. You did not pay for that one, of course. But it's about my time. You've needlessly prolonged our interaction. You wasted my time. I am asking you to pay for my wasted time. I was supposed to have a quality time with her after work. Alas, he swiftly pulled out his gardening scissors from his back pocket. What? I tried to budge and flee from his grip. Let's see if we can just reason our way out. I'm sorry. I will leave now. I won't bother you again. With a steady face and unwavering tone, the florist brings the shimmering shears closer to my neck. Admittedly, I have a hard time trusting a human's words. Given the ability to speak and form cohesive words, I've learned that some of them can be deceitful. Before I could say anything else, I suddenly felt a sting in my torso, making me lose my balance. Did you just stab me with gardening shears? The florist shears got me. My wife would hate to know that someone like you had stepped into our shop. If I leave you be, she won't like that. I writhe in pain as I crawl up into a ball on the ground, blood gushing from my side torso. The florist took another step close to me, stabbing me for the second time on my neck. Ah! I shrieked in pain, coughing up blood at the same time. Through all this, the florist just stared at me with emotionless eyes, holding up my wrist before dragging me. The least you can do to pay is to honor us with your body. I want to fight, but there's no energy left within me. The pain is too much for me. My breath slowly becomes ragged, and I find it hard to keep my eyes focused. As my vision starts to blur, I could vaguely see him opening up the snap door, dragging me further inside. My nostrils were met with the same sickening scent from before, making me want to gag. As he drags my body down the stairs, I can hear soft noises or what sounds like a growl. My sunshine! I'm not sure if my ear is playing tricks on me, but I feel like that's the most emotion I could hear from the florist's voice so far. Is he calling for his wife? Yes. You're such a sweetheart. Did you wait for long? Give me a kiss. Is he crazy or something? He just stabbed me and is now being all lovey-dovey with his wife. But wait, I could use this chance to escape while he's distracted with his wife. Oh, I think my plan failed. Almost as if on cue, he hoisted me up like a slab of meat and slammed me down onto a hard surface. Its surface feels sticky with a strange, moist sensation beneath my fingers. With a cruel efficiency, he raised my head slightly and forcefully shoved a piece of cloth into my mouth. The florist moved with an unsettling calmness. His gloved hands were cold against my skin. Ropes quickly ensnared my limbs, securing my legs and arms tightly. I attempted to scream and kick, fueled by the last reserves of my energy, but everything emerged as muffled, desperate sounds. A surge of panic and adrenaline coursed through me as I struggled, my limbs straining against the restraints. I kicked and writhed with all the remaining strength I could muster. It hurts. It hurts. It freaking hurts. Is he going to dismember me alive or something? And if so, for what? My wife surely would enjoy this. Veins are her favorite part. I shall pull them out of your body. What? He is... My body twitched and convulsed in pain as I let out even more muffled screams from the agonizing pain. Would that hurt? I mean, there's so many nerve endings attached to our veins. I suppose it would. I'm just going to assume removing anything from our body is going to be extremely painful. What I want to know is, are you going to get our veins out in one piece? Before long, I eventually start to lose consciousness. Thank you for your contribution. The florist's cold, distant voice was the last thing I heard as I drew my last breath. Oh! Wait, that's yellow carnation again? I suppose I did die on both times. But this one's yellow carnation vein removal. Oh, wait, is it technically different? I mean, maybe it's a variation of the yellow carnation. This one about time wasting. Have you learned your lesson now about not wasting anyone's time? After all, time is money to some. Okay then, it's time to be a good noodle. We are not going to be flirting with a florist. Just look around and wait. Not sure what to do, I decided to just look around and wait for now. Maybe someone will show up soon. Venturing between the shelves, my eyes were drawn to an exquisite arrangement of lilies. Whoever arranged it had done a meticulous job, and I find myself admiring the skillful work put into the bouquet. Just as I thought of checking my watch, I was taken aback by the presence of a man with pink hair standing in front of me. Hello there. I apologize for making you wait. I was tending to something in the other room. I didn't notice someone had entered the shop. I say we go for the confession though. Yeah, I need a romancing flower, please. Well, I'm looking for some flowers for a special occasion. I want to confess my feelings to someone, so I thought flowers would be a perfect way to express it. Ah, how lovely! Flowers can convey emotions beautifully indeed. Is there any specific type of flower or colour that you have in mind for this special occasion? I was thinking of roses. They say roses are the language of love, right? Absolutely. Roses are a timeless symbol of love and affection. We have a wonderful selection of roses in various colours. Red roses are the classic choice for love, but other colours like pink, white and yellow can also be beautiful options. If you'd like, I can also show you our flower language book. It's a way to choose flowers based on their meanings and symbolism. No, thank you. I think I'm good with red roses. Red roses just sounds like the perfect flower for expressing my feelings. Of course, that's no problem at all. I'll arrange the bouquet for you. You can follow me and add any additional touches you might want later if you'd like. Thank you. I trailed behind the florist, observing as he elegantly halted his steps and began crafting a floral arrangement at a nearby table. Huh, he seems to like me a lot more now that I'm not trying to flirt with him. He began by selecting individual petals from a bunch, each movement deliberate and precise. Swiftly after, he picked up a pair of slender silver pruning shears from a nearby cabinet. It feels a little awkward if I just stand here and watch him work. Maybe I should try and say something. The flowers here are beautiful. You really take good care of them. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to create something beautiful with nature's gifts. With the shears in hand, he snipped the stems at just the right angle, the metallic blades glinting slightly in the flower shop's dim lighting. Their edges appears really sharp and maintained. As you may have noticed, a couple of them have started to wilt. I apologize for that. It's because I usually select the flowers during the day, and they don't remain fresh until late. He held one of the blooms up to the soft light, pausing mid-sentence as he momentarily inspected it for any imperfections. Satisfied, he chose another flower, balancing the two with a practiced eye, and resumed speaking. I often wish that more individuals embraced nurturing flowers, but it appears many lean towards purchasing them solely for decoration. People prefer to opt for the pre-arranged, hand-picked and cleaned options. Yeah, you're right. It's disheartening to see beautiful flowers go to waste. Yes, absolutely. Flowers possess the ability to bring joy and warmth to people's lives when tended lovingly. Unfortunately, not many people seem to grasp that. There was something sincere about the way he spoke of flowers and handled them, palpable in his actions. You must really love working with flowers. My words brought a soft smile to the florist's face, and he nodded. Thank you for the kind words. I do find great joy in creating arrangements that expresses one's beauty or emotions. He continued by picking up a handful of delicate baby's breath, tiny white flowers that added airy lightness to the bouquet. Was there a specific reason behind your choice to become a florist? I think we should this time just pretend to ignore the smell. Despite my intrigue, I decided to push the unusual scent at the back of my mind. As much as the aroma tugged at my curiosity, something tells me that it's probably best if I don't question it. While he placed each petal with precision, I suddenly hear a loud crashing noise coming from another room. You know, clearly my survival is just getting myself out of this shop as quickly as possible. So, I don't notice any blood on the table. I was just spacing out. Oh, it's nothing, really. I was just spacing out for a moment. His eyes, a deep shade of crimson, bore into me for a moment longer, as though he's seeking something in my expression, before he eventually breaks the silence. I see. Well, if you have any questions about the flowers, feel free to ask. The florist's intense gaze makes me wonder if he saw through my attempt to hide my unease. Quietly, I observe his fingers in motion. Okay then, I'd like a card, and merely because I don't want to offend you by refusing. Excellent choice. What would you like me to write on it? I think I'd like some... I told the florist what I'd like him to write, word by word as he wrote them down. So I should get out alive this time, right? I mean, I haven't delayed him very much. Thank you, and also for the arrangement. I nod, reaching out my hand to take the change. Thank you for choosing Diona's flower shop. We hope to see you again soon. Thanks as well. I picked up the bouquet from the counter, turning around to walk towards the door. I survived! Despite the unease, I managed to politely bid my farewell and turn to leave. As I distanced myself from the shop, the unsettling scent slowly faded, and the surroundings became more familiar and comforting. Gradually, my heart rate began to return to normal, and feeling of relief washed over me, escaping whatever strange ambience of that flower shop held. Ending Lily of the Valley. Amidst shadows and fragrant blooms, a discerning heart chose caution's tune. A fleeting scent, a whispered spell, led one to escape where shadows dwell. Otherwise known as, curiosity really does kill the cat. Sometimes, it's best to trust your instincts and not let your guard down. A simple choice to walk away can save you from a fate that's better left unexplored, right? So instead of just trying to leave as soon as possible, what if we just try and be buddy with him? So I noticed the blood, and that's concerning. You should remember to rest. The florist nodded at my words, his gaze unwavering as he continued to expertly arrange my flower bouquet. I appreciate your concern, but I'm used to it, really. I take responsibility for my health and my wife's well-being. Well, if you say so. His voice trailed off silently, and there's something in the way he answered that tells me he doesn't want me to pry on any further. Quietly, I observed his fingers in motion. I mean, we could ask him about something else, right, instead of just trying to leave immediately. Oh, so about your wife. Pardon? He looked genuinely surprised at my question, clearly from how his eyes slightly widened. I'm just curious about the person who inspired you to do such an artistry. His expression softened in my confirmation, and he nodded slowly. Oh, I see. I'm flattered you want to know more about us. Well, my wife, she's a feisty, wonderful woman. Despite the way she is born, her uniqueness shines through. Is she gonna end up being a flower? Is his wife a sunflower? She has a delicate nature, despite her strong and tall exterior, which is why I don't let her work in the shop, nor help me directly, because I know that she is helping me in her own way. That is as much as I can say about her. Something in his voice tells me that he's not going to say anything more. I see. You seem to treasure her so much. The florist nodded slowly, smiling his satisfaction. Of course I do. She's my everything. The florist turned around and walked to the other side of the counter, tidying up some stuff. You seem to be showing quite the interest, wouldn't you say? He stopped his movements and turned around to face me, a small smile on his face. Let's be polite about this. We're not trying to get ourselves murdered again. Yeah, I'm genuinely curious about your life. Oh, your life? Maybe not. That one might be the flirtatious one. Well, yes, about you and your wife. He continued arranging items, his fingers briefly touching an old photograph resting nearby. I'm flattered. Not many are willing to learn. The florist's slender fingers wipe the dust off a photograph that's placed on his counter. Me and my beloved life. His eyes held an affectionate look as he whispered softly, speaking of his wife. My wife, she's a fragile soul, born in circumstances that set her apart from the norm. What? I leaned in, curiosity piqued by the topic. Is she sick? No, she is far from that. His fingers brushed against the photograph, revealing the image of a sunflower garden, bathed in a warm, nostalgic light. She is just born into circumstances that set her apart. Yet, she is still a living embodiment of beauty rising from adversity. I met her in a garden back when I was much younger. As his gaze lingered on the photograph, his fingers seemed to caress the petals captured within the frame, as if reaching across time. I see. It's a beautiful photo of a sunflower garden, almost like straight up from a fairy tale. Long before I met her, they were my solace. Tending after flowers becomes a comfort to me, and almost like by fate, this passion of mine was what particularly led me into meeting the love of my life as well. They called me strange. Some even laughed at my affinity for flowers. But my wife, when I met her, it was like the flowers finally had a voice. She helped me find solace in who I am and a purpose in life. He placed the photograph back in its place, and for a moment, silence hung in the air. Laden with unspoken sentiments, his gaze seemed to linger on the photo, lost in a world of memories. It sounds like she had a profound impact on your life. Indeed she did, in more ways than I can express. The florist's crimson eyes hold a mixture of fondness and introspection. Your wife, how has she influenced your life now? In many ways, truly. She is my whole world. Her presence, even in her current state, inspires me to create the most exquisite arrangements. My wife has brought both joy and challenges to my life. You see, she's no ordinary woman. She craves for something quite different, and I've made it my mission to provide for her, to ensure her happiness. Okay, so maybe she's not a flower. She clearly just is a cannibal. I've had to make certain sacrifices in doing so. Some people that knew, they often tell me to stop, but I never want to. It's her after all. She is my beloved wife, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep her content. I can see that. Deep down, I find myself contemplating a thing or two. I'm curious. I feel like I want to know more, but at the same time, should I? He isn't saying anything as he continued to tidy things up. Does he not mind at all that I'm still standing here in his shop, despite the arrangement now done? It's like he's not even acknowledging my presence at all. I cleared my throat, gathering my thoughts. Well, that's quite something. But I think I'll have to take my leave now. I wish you and your wife good fortune. I turned around and headed towards the door with the bouquet in hand, ready to depart. Wait, I don't think I paid for it yet. You see, it's rare to find someone who understands my artistry and my situation. His words caught me off guard, and I was taken aback by the depth of his statement. Your situation? He paused, as if considering whether to say more. My wife? Someone who's important in my life. The circumstances between me and her are unusual, as my late father liked to put it. I listened intently, my curiosity piqued. It seems like he was opening up to me. You feel like a breath of fresh air to us. If I may be honest, not everyone takes the time to consider my circumstances. I see. Him suddenly speaking so much stopped me from leaving. The florist's words caught me off guard, and I wasn't sure how to respond. I'm sure you're aware that people are so quick to judge, especially nowadays. They like to stick their noses into people's business, even relationships. So it's rare to find someone who is genuinely willing to understand my situation. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Don't be sorry. Humans tend to fear what they don't understand, and hate what they can't conquer. It's simply in their nature to do so. That's why meeting someone like you, who's open to listening, is quite refreshing. A brief silence envelops us, his smile slowly resurfacing whilst his fingers gently trace the petals of a nearby sunflower. As a parting gift, I'd like to offer you something special. His voice was tinged with genuine appreciation as he spoke. What? I want you to meet her. Oh, your wife! For a moment, I struggled to speak. Meeting his wife? This is unexpected. But why? His smile broadens at my question. You've been so open to listening. That's why I believe you deserve to meet someone special, like my wife. I feel like you'd be one of the people who would understand her nature. Not to mention, I'm sure my wife would like to know such a beautiful soul like you. Although it was unusual, I ended up agreeing, my curiosity surpassing any doubts. Okay. The florist's smile broadens in my response. Thank you. The florist led the way, opening the staff door for me to step in first. Ah, it's quite unusual for me to be here without, being drugged or bleeding. He guides me down the narrow flight of stairs, the air growing cooler as I descend into the earth. Soft footsteps echo in the dimly lit space. The path seemed different now, a blend of shadows and flickering lights. We passed by the dimly lit staff room, casting elongated shadows across the walls. But the scent of fresh blooms seems to come from another place. That's the staff room, isn't it? Yes, you're correct. I follow the florist a little further until we both reach a sturdy wooden door. He turns to face me, a small smile gracing his lips. Here we go. He opens the door to reveal what looks like an underground greenhouse, illuminated by a soft red hue light. The air was thick with floral scents, and a hint of unpleasant smell similar to the one I first smelt when I entered the shop. He stepped inside and allowed me to step in first before him. Wait here for a moment, won't you? I nod slowly. I saw the figure emerge from the shadows. My heart raced in anticipation. Diona, my dear! Please, look this way for a moment. Diona's appearance was obscured, and I couldn't really make out any distinct shape for a moment. As the light illuminated the figure in a dim glow, I could finally perceive its features, if they could even be called that. What? Oh, wow! You were not what I was expecting. Oh, but I love you so much. Wait, you're technically a flower, aren't you? I was right. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. The wife he's been referring to all this time is this thing? The monstrous being emitted a guttural growl, its massive head swaying ominously as its gnarled stem shifted with a creaking sound. What? From its gaping maw, a long and sinuous tongue emerged, dripping with a thick layer of glistening saliva. The sight was revolting, as if it were ready to strike at any moment. Ignoring my shocked reaction, the florist displayed an unusual fondness for his wife. Oh, I know you're eager, my lovely. Come closer. Come closer. Give me a kiss, will you? As if in response to the florist's tender gesture, the monster reciprocated by licking his cheek with its tongue. Don't worry, my beloved. Our guest is here to stay. I watched in shock as the grotesque creature, referred to as my lovely by the florist, nuzzled against him. Before long, he slightly pulled away from the monster and met my gaze. Say hello to my dear. The monstrous being faced me with its eerie, multicolored eyes. Hello. As I expected, she's pleased to meet you. The monster emitted another low growl, akin to a purring noise, its form quivering slightly, as if responding to the florist's words. This can't be real. The florist tenderly stroked the rough surface of the creature's petal. With each caress, the monster's form seemed to writhe in anticipation. Yes, I must apologize for my absence earlier. You know I have to take care of our guests, especially those with curiosity. Huh? Is he talking about me? You see, my lovely here was getting quite impatient with your presence. She's been famished for weeks, and the sound of unfamiliar footsteps was driving her to a frenzy. I find myself connecting the dots in my head. The florist's earlier repeated visits to the staff room, his horrid demeanor, it all made sense now. The monster, his wife, had been starving. Now I understood the reason behind his earlier disappearances. But don't worry, I've taught her well, and you're safe here with me. How could he say that? I don't feel safe at all. My heart raced with unease, realizing the florist's true nature and the monstrous being he's been referring to as his beloved wife. Would you like to shake her hand? She's always excited to meet new faces. Does she even have hands? The florist reached towards the creature's petal, almost resembling a hand, shifting it in my direction. You know what, sure. How many chances am I going to have to shake hands with a monstrous sunflower? I stumbled back, my heart pounding as I continued to grapple with the reality of the situation. Despite so, I fought back everything in me to run away, and instead stepped closer to the monstrous creature before me. As I stepped closer, I could feel the heat emanating from it. Hello, Diona. Nice to meet you. I reached my hand out to caress its large yellow petals. They definitely feel much rougher than usual sunflower petals, much thicker and stiff. Unlike when the florist touched it, the monster doesn't seem to react to my touches as it did with him. While I caress its petals, the florist stands there, remaining close to the monster he calls his wife, watching my every move. Isn't she gorgeous? Oh, she's simply stunning. I love all the teeth. The florist's gaze narrows as he watched me closely. Yes, she is gorgeous. The florist smiled, nodding slowly. I knew you'd think so. He stepped back and put my hand aside from the monster, as if not wanting me to touch it even more. His grip was firm as he moved my hand away. She's a type of carnivorous sunflower. The florist's gaze returns to the creature, his expression displaying fondness for his wife. As I mentioned earlier, I encountered her in a garden when I was younger, probably when I was around 10 years old. We practically grew up side by side, facing all kinds of challenges together. Once again, his attention shifted towards me. Back then, Diona was just the size of a normal sunflower. At that point, her diet mostly consisted of small animals. Though it wasn't until she nibbled on my ring finger that I truly understood her appetite for flesh. Oh! It's the first time I've realized you're missing a finger, sir. It's alright though. That moment marked the beginning of our bond. Isn't that right? Wait, is that why you consider her to be your wife? 'Cause she ate part of your ring finger? His words took a moment to sink in. His eyes immediately trailed to the florist's hands, and only when I realized one of his ring fingers is missing. There's a metaphorical saying that couples should savor each other's flavors before walking down the aisle. This couldn't be real. How could he be married to such a being? In our case, that saying takes on a rather literal meaning. But don't be alarmed, Diona had her fair share of snack this evening already. Though, I must tell you that she has quite the appetite. He delivered this assurance with a faint smile that only fueled my unease. Right, my sunshine? She tends to get a bit bashful whenever I mention her hearty appetite. Huh. You know what? I'm already in this situation, so let's ask some questions. So, what kind of snack did she have? I'm gonna assume she ate a customer. I raised an eyebrow, curiosity lacing my words. He momentarily turned to look at me, his expression unreadable. Just a little feline. A feline? The way he answered in such a calm tone slightly took me aback. I see, I muttered in response, not wanting to pry any further. Did you feed your wife someone's pet? The florist and the monster continued with their unsettling display of affection, completely ignoring my presence. Could you repeat that for me, my beloved? But I'm not lying, my sweet. It's merely a part of the plan. What? It's just how things go. It has always been. A displeased growl left the monster's mouth, its discontent evident in the deep rumble that emanated from its throat. My wife, please understand. Be a little more patient for me, okay? The wife wants to eat me, doesn't she? My wife. I'll spoil you well tonight. I miss spending time with you. Perfect, me too. My wife said she'd like to eat you. His gaze swiftly shifted to me, his demeanor now devoid of any emotion, a complete 180 from how we interacted with the monster mere moments ago. thought that's what you were going to say. I apologize. Let me rephrase that. His words hit me like a shockwave. She'd like to get to know you through her taste buds. Ah, well in that case, that sounds perfectly acceptable. Yep, this is where I should leave. I dashed towards the door as quickly as possible, but then he was suddenly behind me, his tone soft yet sinister. My wife has been starving for a while now, and you're the perfect target. Fear gripped me, realization crashing over me in waves. It's quite rude to leave when you, a guest, is being introduced, don't you think? I should have known better than to go out of my way to step in a totally not suspicious flower shop that's apparently still open past 11 at night. Let me leave. I tried yanking his wrist once more, attempting to break free and dash upstairs, but a sharp pain suddenly struck my side, causing me to lose my balance. I'm afraid I cannot allow that. I got stabbed by garden shears again, didn't I? The florist's scissors pierced me. My wife would hate knowing that someone like you entered our shop and didn't get to be part of her feast. In agony, I curled up into a ball on the ground. The florist approached, stabbing my neck for a third time. I screamed in pain, blood mixing with my coughs. Throughout it all, the florist stared, emotionless eyes fixed on me, holding my wrist before dragging me. Let go of me! I'm in no position to decide that. Please, do ask my wife. He held me firmly, dragging me closer to where his wife awaited. Oh, what a long tongue you have, Mr. Wife. The proximity to the repulsive creature made my stomach churn. I could almost feel the heat radiating from its body. Do you think you'd enjoy tonight's meal, my sunshine? If not, I will simply dispose of this slab. The monster unhinged its jaw, its tongue slithering out to lick my face. I recoiled in disgust, its hot saliva staining my cheek. My sunshine, I've warned you repeatedly not to do that. It's unbearable to see, as if you were kissing them. What the hell did he just say? I glanced at him with a flurry of emotions within me, sensing my arms and legs being bound tightly. Now, I must prepare you for her meal. The monster growled again, seemingly reacting to the florist's words, lowering its head before glaring at us. Oh, I was just a little jealous, but I'm not upset with you, my dear. The florist rose and walked ahead of me, caressing the monster's stem as it leaned into his touch. In the midst of me struggling, I could smell something unpleasant coming from somewhere near, the unpleasant scent from earlier. It smelled so foul that I feel like it's assaulting my senses. Don't worry, my sunshine. I'll chop them up for you. Huh? After a moment, both the florist and the monsters ceased their affectionate gestures to turn their attention to me. Ah! He suddenly yanked me and dragged me to another room, awash in dim blue light. The unpleasant smell intensified as we inched closer to our destination. I realized this room was one of the rooms the staff door led to. Let me go! Keep your mouth shut, and I will make it easier for you. He turned around and left to retrieve some items from the tall cabinet. The florist retrieved his huge gardening shears. Suddenly, the foul smell intensified, assaulting my senses. As he turned on one of the lights, I realized the odor emanated from behind the door. He creaked open slightly, revealing a horrifying sight. A pile of human bodies. Some were covered in dirt, while others were soaked in blood. Instinctively, I attempted to flee, only to remind myself of restrained limbs. Damn! The fresher the meat, the better the taste. He's ready to lunge at me. Oh, can we try to kick him? In a desperate attempt, I tried to summon all the strength I could muster and aimed a swift kick at the florist. But he moved faster than I expected, effortlessly sidestepping my kick with a calm expression on his face. Impressive effort, but I'd advise against resisting. It's unfortunate that it has come to this. His words were spoken with an unsettling calmness. Before I could react, he swiftly grabbed my tired legs and wrists. Ah! The impact against the floor left me disorientated and in pain. He stood over me, his shears glinting menacingly in the dim light. I wish you would have cooperated willingly. He dragged me once again to the right in front of the monster's face. Now, this will be quick. Am I about to get beheaded? No! My wife! The monster responded with a growl, turning its head towards the florist. Each time he talks to that creature, his voice takes on a softer, more gentle tone. I hate to ask, but could you assist me, my dear? It's not cooperating very well. The monster let out another growl, even louder this time. It craned its neck downwards, and then extended its tongue in my direction. Ah, are you eager to devour it immediately? I understand. However, I'm just concerned that you might choke again like the last time. So I couldn't let you devour it right away. But you're allowed to howl. You're very lovely, my sunshine. Now, be still, will you? The monster turned to look at me and leaned closer to my face. Instinctively, I flinched and tried to avoid it. What is it trying to do? I told you earlier. Oh! You just took a big old bite, huh, buddy? Wait, am I still alive while I'm being digested? The pain is unbearable as I feel the monster chewing on me. Ah, delicious, isn't it? You seem to be quite enjoying it, my beloved. I'm relieved to see. Thank you for your contribution. The florist's cold, distant voice was the last thing I heard when I drew my last breath. Ending Diona, sunflower. Like sunflowers to the sun, the curious heart beckoned towards the light. Yet your fate took its wandering bend. Did you dare to pluck the flower of truth at the cost of your own petals? Oh, it changed the background CG! That's cool. Okay, so we're looking for one more ending. And I think it's a variation of the white lily. So we gotta make sure we survive. But maybe we just be annoyingly curious about everything. So why does your flower shop even remain open until this late anyways? He didn't reply right away, and I noticed a slight pause in his movements as my question sank in. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to pry. I understand where you're coming from. It is rather unusual for a flower shop to remain open this late. Truthfully, if it weren't for my beloved wife, I wouldn't be working this hard. While he remained focused on his work, a faint hint of pink now graced his cheeks as he spoke of his wife. I see. You seem to be a hard worker. His wife must feel lucky. It's not every day you see someone this hard-working nowadays. Thank you. She is my motivation for pursuing my love for flowers. So, Mr. Florist, what's the smell? Is there a particular scent in here? It's quite unusual for a flower shop. He responded without even sparing me a glance. Ah, yes. Some customers notice it. He replied without even sparing me a glance. A scent that many find to be calming. I see. I nodded as I speak, although the smell was far from calming to me. Maybe we should point it out. It's far from calming. What is it, really? I apologize. Is the lingering aroma bothering you? The florist's gaze seems to shift, as if contemplating something. It's simply a blend of rare flowers that I cultivate here. Corpse flowers, bleeding heart, and jade berries. Is there a reason for mixing them that way? Well, yes. It's based on my personal preference. His fingers deftly held the bouquet of paper, and I turned around to observe the other flowers. You will get accustomed to the scent soon, I'm sure. Yeah, right. He looked up, and our eyes locked. I turned around to the other side of the room to avoid his gaze. Feeling his gaze oddly fixated on me, as if tracing my every movement, even as he added the final touches to the bouquet. I stayed silent and decided to focus on browsing the flowers, pushing aside the discomfort. Are you interested in adding anemones? Perhaps a timeless choice for various occasions. Red, pink, white. Each shade conveys distinct meanings. Still mulling it over. I see. Very well then. His words faded into the background as an unsettling smell seemed to grow stronger. My unease deepened with each passing moment. I think I need some fresh air. Can I step outside while you finish? Of course, take your time. I'll continue working on the arrangement. And please, feel better soon. I nodded at his words and forced a grin on my face before swiftly turning around to leave the shop. Am I just gonna dip? Am I not even gonna go back in for my bouquet? Stepping outside, the fresh air did little to ease my anxiety. I couldn't shake off the feeling there was more to this flower shop than met the eye. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but I couldn't abandon the mission. As I took a deep breath, I contemplated whether to confront my fears and learn what's going on, or just take this chance to leave. I really feel like something isn't right here. I think we should just leave. I mean, this should be our last ending, right? Leave and buy flowers somewhere else, if I could. Yeah, it is unsettling. I can't really put into words exactly what's wrong, but something here genuinely doesn't feel right at all. After a moment of hesitation, I decide that I've had enough. I re-enter the shop to see the florist remains in the same spot, still completely absorbed in his work. Sorry, maybe another time? Oh? I don't think I'll be going back here and here. Something's definitely not right. Your arrangement is beautiful, but I just got a text from a friend they knew some other place. Without taking the time to wait for the florist's response, I closed the door shut and dashed away. As I make my escape, the haunting scent gradually fades, and the night becomes quieter and more familiar. My heart begins to get steady, and I feel a sense of relief knowing I just escaped whatever that flower shop was. Ending Lily of the Valley. Amidst shadows and fragrant blooms, a discerning heart chose caution's tune. A fleeting scent, a whispered spell, led to one to escape where shadows dwell. Sometimes it's best to trust your instincts and not let your guard down. A simple choice to walk away can save you from a fate that's better left unexplored, right? Oh, I think I've actually found it. Okay, so I basically went down the flirting route, but as soon as we found out he was married, I was being a good noodle and I stopped flirting. And after asking about his wife, afterwards, the florist turned around and walked to the other side of the counter, tidying up some stuffs. Well then, I should prepare for closing now. If there's nothing else you need, perhaps it's time for you to be on your way too. The florist spoke in his usual soft tone, yet polite and firm. I'm past the usual closing time. Oh, I don't want to keep you. It's quite alright. I appreciate your interest in the shop. If you ever need flowers in the future, don't hesitate to drop by. Thank you for choosing Diona's flower shop. We will see you again soon. Holding the bouquet of flowers, I nodded while taking a last glance around the shop. Thanks as well. As I distanced myself from the shop, the unsettling scent slowly faded, and the surroundings became more familiar and comforting. There's a faint inkling that I've forgotten something, and it's bothering me. What could it be? Did I leave something at the shop? No, I don't think I left anything. We will see you again soon. Wait! Ending question mark? Wait! Is this a secret sixth ending? Because I know the store page said there was the greeting with the wife, and then 2 variations of Carnation and Lily. The florist. We'll find you next time. I think this is a new experience for me. I can't remember the time I've ever been eaten by a giant sunflower before. If you enjoyed that playthrough, I'd greatly appreciate you could like this video and subscribe to this channel. But if not, have a spooky day and I'll catch you next time, guys.